Welcome, everybody. Thank you and welcome back. The speakers today have been phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. Denver and Dallas have been kicking it, and they have just done a great job. If you have not already purchased your all access ticket for $49, go ahead and purchase because you'll also get access to everything that we went through this morning, as well as yesterday and the rest of the week. Today, you've already seen her this morning, Alicia Campbell. She is here to talk about how a virtual assistant can improve your business, and she is the owner of Creative Plan Her. Creative Plan Her. If any of y'all are like me, I've always wondered what can I use a virtual assistant for, and how do I go about that process? That process sometimes can get confusing and convoluted. So she's here to straighten that out, to give us some clarity on how we can move forward. I am turning this over to Alicia, and she's going to move it forward. Alicia, welcome aboard to Freelance Business Week.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. And thank you so much for tuning in to my session. As Michaela alluded to, I am Alicia. I am the owner of Creative Planner. I'm going to talk to you today about outsourcing and how this can help grow your business and kind of set your mind at ease to a few things. So, oopsie, sorry, went too fast. So the first thing is just as an introduction, I'm a mommy by profession. I have four beautiful children. I know that's probably a lot, and some of you might be freaked out, but I love every second of it. Their ages range. My oldest is 17, and then my little baby Cameron is 2 years old. So I have the wide range, and there's never a dull moment around here, but it's all worthwhile. And then, by default, I'm a virtual assistant. So after the birth of Cameron, I just couldn't go back to the 9 to 5, right? Like my older three kids, like I hit the ground running, went back to work, like right after maternity leave. And by maternity leave, I mean like for maybe 6 weeks if I was lucky, just because, getting paid at 80% didn't really fit our financial goals and budget, and really just the cost of living. So I really like took a step back this time around, knowing that Cameron was going to be the last one, and thinking to myself, like, I can't do this. I can't be on somebody else's watch. Furthermore, I don't want to send my baby to daycare and somebody else just raises him, maybe gets to watch him walk or crawl for the first time, and just all of the things that I feel like I missed out on by working in corporate America. So I am new to the virtual assistant space. If you want to stay new, I've been in business for 2 years, but I did it kind of as a side hustle for 4 years before I took this thing full time. And I've worked in administrative roles for 15 years in healthcare, being administrative assistant, executive assistant, project coordinator, and so on and so forth. So um, that is one of the reasons why I felt like this made sense. Like they were skills that I had already been using, and although the industry might be different, the skills and the knowledge are kind of the same. So today I kind of want to talk about what a virtual assistant is, why outsourcing is important, review what you can and probably should delegate, tools and softwares to support your VA. And when I say support your VA, they're really supporting you, but there are certain things that you should have in place to be able to kind of help bring them on board, to communicate with them, and really have clear processes and expectations for how you guys are going to be successful as you build your partnership. And then lastly, kind of talk about some homework that you have as the business owner before outsourcing. So things that you should probably be doing before you even start recruiting, and then things that should happen before you actually onboard your new person. So that's what we're going to chit chat about today. So first thing, why outsource? Well, let's talk about what a VA is, because I don't have a slide here for that. So a virtual assistant is pretty much an administrative support person who is usually a contract or 1099, and they basically just hopefully catch all the low hanging fruits of your business. So there's several things. It could be big, it could be small. And when we get into the types of things that you can outsource, I really want to talk about thinking about the type of help that you need, because when you are ready to hire a VA, you might be looking for multiple VAs because we all kind of have our area of expertise or our niche. And so it's important to kind of determine what you need before you go get it. So, why would you outsource? So, this is going to allow you to focus more on revenue generating tasks, being, now you can have more client meetings. You can try to go do more pitching, do more networking, things that is actually going to bring money into the business instead of spending hours a day responding to emails that could just be general inquiries, to unsubscribing to things, scheduling meetings, those sorts of things that ultimately might get you some money in the door, but not really. And then improve a work life balance. As entrepreneurs, we wear 27 hats some days and 100 hats on another day. And so it feels like we're working, 25 hours a day. And so having some support, kind of delegating some tasks will just help you kind of create a better balance in life and in your business. Next is just impact your bottom line, right? If you can outsource, if you can delegate some things, you have the bandwidth to take on more. You can get more clients. You can go to more events. You can, you know, do all of the things that you need to do because you have help and you don't have to carry all these bags alone. And then lastly, it just kind of piggybacks on impacting your bottom line and all the other things. It's just boosting your productivity. So, you have more time, you can do more things, you can also be more methodical about how you're spending your time. And, I think that sometimes, our task list gets so long and then we just get stuck doing things that maybe we shouldn't even be doing because we just have so much and we don't know where to begin. So that makes our days kind of unproductive, if you will. So, what types of things should you delegate? So, inbox management, and this could be, sending responses to general inquiries. This is also unsubscribing to all of those newsletters that you don't want to see and spam. This is also going through and some archiving your stuff, putting stuff in folders. Another thing is invoicing. So, you might be using a CRM that is sending things automatically and sending follow-ups and things like that. But we all have some things that maybe don't get paid, or maybe we're not using a CRM. So VA can certainly help, submitting invoices and proposals and kind of reconciling your QuickBooks or Wave or whatever it is that you're using to track revenue. Another big one is data entry. And so a good example of that is, piggybacks on your invoicing. So you might have, 27 expenses that you need to get loaded into your QuickBooks. And should you really be spending your time doing that? Not so much, but maybe you want to. But another good example of what you can be delegating. Social media, this is a big one. And this is probably what I'm doing the most of now. And, and when you think about having a VA to do your social media, and what I always like to tell people is we're really just the coordinator, right? I wouldn't even consider myself the social media manager because all I'm doing is executing the strategy that you have or that your, strategist has, given you. So really it's just a matter of making sure that you're posting frequently, staying consistent. And as a small business owner, sometimes that's hard. Like social media takes a back seat, but sometimes that's where we get leads. So social media is something that you could delegate. Another thing is just customer relations. So if you need your phone answered, if you have text messages, DMs, things like that, a VA can help you do that in a timely manner so that you don't potentially miss opportunities. Appointment scheduling and calendar management, just making sure that you're not double booked, reaching out to potential clients when you need meetings scheduled. That's another thing. Bookkeeping, we already talked about that. And then just like some vendor management. So if you host events or if you do podcasts or any other type of things like that, a VA can kind of help facilitate, be the liaison in that, making sure that you collect your bios and that you have, pictures and headshots and all of those things. So those are all things that I'm sure that you spend a little bit of time doing that. You should know more. All right. So your homework, and this is kind of, if you think that I am busting out the seams and now is the time, here are a couple of things that you should think about and kind of document, right? So understand your pain points. So when you get to your desk on Monday morning or whatever the start of your week is, and you're just like, I'd rather die than do this task one more time. Write that down. I mean, that could be something. If there's something that just gives you anxiety or just makes you not want to start your day, it might be something that you could delegate. So I really encourage you to think about your pain points, think about things that you have to do, but maybe you don't have to touch it personally. Another thing is to document your workflows. And I mean document them in a way that if you share this document with me, I can understand your process. I know how to do this. So really think about, the things that you're going to outsource or the things that you're going to delegate. Do you have the resources or the reference material in place to be able to offload this task? Another thing is determine the budget. So when you're working with a VA, I mean, depending on the region that they're in, depending on the niche or their specialty, the prices will really vary. So I encourage you to think about, okay, now I understand my pain points. I know what I want to offload. This is what I can afford to pay for this. Not only this is what I can afford to pay, but I encourage you to maybe do some research on what is a social media coordinator making, what is a general administrative assistant making, and then just kind of build a budget from there. One thing that I want to talk about a little bit in terms of a budget is, you can hire a small business or a freelancer contract employee to be your VA, and their prices might seem high because when you go to Fiverr or Upwork, you can get somebody for $15. I just want you to be aware and do your homework of, the caliber of the person that you're getting, right? So a VA is a little bit more or should be a little bit more elevated than just your, run of the mill admin. And that's why their prices might be a little bit higher. So just really think about what could I pay somebody, and then in that calculation, think about the time that you spend doing it. And I'm sure your hourly rate is a lot higher than what you're going to, outsource. So just think about the time and the money that you're saving by giving this away. So the next thing is kind of outline an onboarding plan. Now, this doesn't have to be like, when we worked in corporate America, we go to a whole week of new hire orientation and we go meet all these people and we have all of these, binders and pieces of paper that give us stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I am recommending is that you kind of start with, when we first kick off, this is the goal. These are your tasks. And then as we, build our relationship, as we both feel good about it and we're comfortable, here are some things that we're going to add to your plate at 60 days, at 90 days, and that sort of thing. So I think it's important to kind of plan ahead, but also have your start now process. And then that will give your VA or whoever you're deciding to onboard, they have a real clear picture of what's expected. And, there will be no questions and there's less confusion there. The other part is, so we're going to go to the next slide. Sorry. So the other part that is helpful to start thinking about as you're going to onboard a VA are your tools and softwares. So you're going to need something that can keep track of time. And chances are, if you are working with, a seasoned VA or somebody that has current clients, they will already have a time tracking system that they use. So I recommend like Toggle or Clockify, and it clients, and as soon as they start your task, they hit the timer, and then they can stop the timer, and it allows you to have a report at the end of the month, so you kind of know how their time is being spent and how much more you can give to them. The other thing that is important to consider is how you're going to share information and where your resources are housed. So document library. So this could be a Google Drive. You could be using Dropbox, just things like that, like somewhere where you can house the information. And lastly, or not lastly, but next would be a task or project management tool. So there's a gazillion of them out there. I think you just pick the one that works best for you. Some of my recommendations are Trello or Asana or ClickUp. But you can also use like Google Tasks or even a Google Sheet if you need to. So and then lastly is a communication tool. So um, I think that it's really important that when you're outsourcing and when you're, growing your business, is that you keep everything kind of professional and in one place and not blur the lines on business and personal. So I recommend having something like Slack or WhatsApp or Voxer, something that clearly like is there's a clear separation between you're texting me on my personal line versus we can keep all of our conversation business related in this category. All right, so that was kind of a quick, fast, down and dirty version of how a VA can help, what they can do, what to think about in terms of when you're ready to outsource. And so I wanted to leave a lot more time on questions and answers because I know that every business is unique, and I hope to kind of provide some insight on things to think about, or if you've tried a VA before and it didn't work, and maybe provide some support or help or suggestions in moving forward.
I just realized I was muted. So thank you so much for that presentation, Alicia. You were wonderful. I'm sure I know I have several questions. So what has been for being a VA and on the client's end, what would you say would be the pros and cons um, for having a VA versus not having a VA, besides the points that you've already gone through? Um, Give me your thoughts on that.
I think some of the pros could be, it allows you to be flexible on the tasks and things that you are going to outsource. So you don't have to have, a concrete job description or something like that, but it allows you to change or shift the priorities based on what's going on in your business. Because there are times, where business is booming and there's a lot going on. And so, some months are going to be heavier than others to delegate. The other pro of having a VA is some work just straight hourly and some are packages. So it also, again, it piggybacks on that last point of it allows you to kind of, you might need them heavy in May for 20 hours, but in June it's going to be slower and you won't have as much. So just the flexibility that you get. Also, it's easy to do a try before you buy type of thing, so some people, some VAs like myself, I don't have like a 6 month retainer or anything like that because it might not be a good fit and you might need to kind of shift direction. So that's another pro, is it's like it allows you kind of the freedom to take your business where you need to go, increase or decrease hours, if you will. The cons of a VA, and I don't like speaking about cons because I'm a VA and that's my business. But the reality is that they're not your employee, right? And so there are some things that you cannot control. And to kind of mitigate that is have that clear onboarding plan, have those clear expectations set, define what their role is going to be, and really have those processes documented so that you can hold them accountable when things are not done, when deadlines are missed. You have that information there. They're not your employee. but I think the framework is the same, right? You have to have them set up as if they were, otherwise it wouldn't be successful. But that is definitely a con. You have less control of, kind of telling them what to do per se, or making them follow a strict schedule or work your hours. But you do have more control on your business, right? Because you're going to be doing less things. So that's what I can offer for the cons.
Fantastic. Thank you. We have a question here. Seems lots of sites and VAs are available. How do you find a good one?
Yeah, so that is kind of like, I don't know. It's the $1 million question. There are tons of VA resources available, and my best advice is to interview several people, right? It's just like a regular job where they're interviewing, 6 to 10 candidates. I really think that it's best to interview a lot. I think it's a good idea to tap into your network if you have other small business owner friends. Really find one based off of referrals. I think that's a great way to find a good fit, because you're already going to have a level of trust if somebody sends somebody to you. And then for that VA, I think there's a level of responsibility there too, of they know that this person has been referred to them. So I have a standard that's already been set, right? And I can speak to that personally, of like, when I get referrals, like, I'm on top of it, because I don't want to let that client down because she believed in me enough to send someone else to me. So I think that that would be a good place to start. Hire a bunch of people, or interview a bunch of people, and really rely on your network. Tap into the community, or any kind of Facebook groups or things like that, and get some referrals.
Next, is the VA typically visible part of a freelancer's business or visible to clients?
I think that's um, a personal preference. There are some companies that, they will give you an email account of your own that says, like admin or whatever, at whatever your business name is. And then there's others that you're just kind of behind the scenes, and complete tasks through, your own business email, but are always responding on their behalf. So I think it just depends on your preference. I think that if they are going to be visible for clients, or just in general, I do think it's important to have like an NDA. And I think it's important to, during the onboarding call, or your kickoff call with your VA, is to really be clear about when they're communicating on your behalf, like how they should do that. Do you want them to introduce themselves as your assistant, or so I think that that's another thing, when you're doing your onboarding, is like, when make it clear, like, how this VA is fitting in your puzzle. Are they a part of your team? And I love it when my clients are like, this is our VA, she's part of the team, here's how you can reach her. Because then it just builds another level of like commitment and responsibility on my end. Like, I don't feel like I'm just this person that delegate work to. Like, as your VA, also I'm committed to your voice and your brand, and being professional and leaving a good impression on your clients. So I think it's personal preference.
Next, you are getting the questions coming in. Is it appropriate to ask for a list um, of the VA's other clients, to ensure there is no conflict of interest? So I guess what they're saying is it okay to ask your own clients if they have any VAs to refer?
So I think I think you can ask the VA, like, what types of clients do you typically support? When I am asked that question, I have to say, I can't tell you specifically, because I do have an NDA with all of my clients and a confidentiality agreement. But what I can do is, if they're requesting references, or, if they want to see some of my work that I've done, then I just ask permission from the current client. Like, hey, I'm currently being interviewed. Is it okay that I share this? Is it okay that they contact you as a reference? I think that that is totally fair game. I just think that you have to be careful with the type of agreement that your potential VA already has, and making sure that you have those agreements and such in place. Because the
I get
chances are,
you.
the reality is if you're hiring a VA, if, for example, if you're hiring a VA for social media, you want somebody that knows your industry, right? So hopefully you have a VA that is good posting photography, is good at posting like graphic design. So it is a good possibility that your VA might have other clients like you, but that's kind of a good thing, right? Because they kind of are already in the trenches of your business per se.
So I personally have a question is when a freelancer is just starting out and they are wanting a VA, but it's not yet in their budget, are there any recommendations that you have?
Yeah, so I think that if you want a VA and it's not necessarily in your budget, a couple of things. One, you could maybe see about if there are any internship programs that are being offered through, the local community college, or maybe even like some sort of like skills or trade program. That would be the first, because that would be, the least financially obligating. And then the other would be, okay, so if I can't afford, I'm just throwing a number out there, if I can't afford $500 a month, but I can't afford 250, what types of tasks would I love to give away? And then you just have that conversation, right? I think that when you have your discovery, or when you are interviewing your VA, is you give them a list of the things, and in that conversation you're going to ask, okay, so how much would this cost, or what is your price? And just let them know, like, this will be my first time. I'm kind of at a point right now where it's like I'm gonna tip on either side, so I do have to make this jump, but this is the budget. What can you do for me for $250? What does that look like? And see if they can meet you as close to the mark as possible, but also know that they might not. You might have to shift their direction a little bit, but I promise that if you give it time, if you find the right fit, that $50 or that $100 or whatever that number is, you're going to make that back, because now you have more time and you're doing more client work.
I love it. Now, just in case we have any freelancers that are on the call, they're looking probably for a side hustle as a virtual assistant.
Mhm.
Any advice or suggestions you would give them?
Yes, I would say, and it's funny because I went into this asking the same question, or like reading responses to this. You don't do all the things, right? Like, I made that mistake of like, I'm just trying to, make money because I left I didn't return from maternity leave. And so now I have to do this thing. But you're not going to be successful if you do all the things. So I really encourage you to think about your skill set, think about where your strengths are, and target the client that needs your strength, right? I mean, a VA, people think that we're just like a catch-all and we can do everything. No, not really, right? We're only strong, otherwise, like, we would just do all the things on our own. So I really encourage you to think about and what you enjoy, right? Like, what brings you joy. Anybody could be good at data entry, but do you really want to do data entry all the time? Like, so think about the tasks that you would enjoy doing on a monthly basis and start there. You know, yeah, because if not, it's not going to bring you joy. You're going to end up like resenting that client, or you're not going to do your best work. And I'm guilty. I have learned that lesson. I have taken on clients that weren't a good fit for me. I have taken on tasks that I had no idea, and I spent more time researching how to do the task, because I was just like, yeah, sure, I can do that for you. And I just wanted to make the client happy, and I just wanted to, make them feel like they made the right decision. But the reality is that sometimes sometimes they're looking for something that you don't offer, and that's okay. And on the flip side
Oh,
is hiring a VA. Sometimes you're looking for something that maybe they can't offer, and maybe it's not a VA. Maybe you really do need a marketing strategist, right? You think you might need somebody that's just posting your social media, but no, you need somebody that's going to give you a strategy, and then you need somebody that's going to post. So it works on both ends.
all right. Is there an average number of clients to have at one time as a VA?
Um, I think it depends on how much or how little the VA wants to work, and it also depends on what their clients are wanting. If you only have clients that expect you to put together their monthly newsletter, and then you have clients that expect you to do monthly reconciliation, well, you could probably have 20 of those clients, right? Because those things don't take long. So I think it just really depends. What I will say is when you're recruiting a VA is think about the tasks that you're giving them and how much time. And I think that's a fair question to ask during the interview process of, I think that my work is going to take about 30 hours a month. Do you have the capacity? How many other clients do you have? And really pick their brain about that, right? Really say, like, okay, well, I think it's 30 hours a month, but if I have a big project, how much flexibility do you have? Or if things come up, like, how do you make sure that you're not spread too thin? And I think that's a very fair question to ask during the interview process.
Okay, they keep coming. How do you suggest working with a VA when you realize they aren't a good fit?
So, before I answer this question, whoever posted it, can you give me an example of why they weren't a good fit? Um, So how do you suggest? So when you realize they're not a good fit, I'm assuming that some things fell through the cracks, some deadlines were missed, maybe they're not responsive, and I think this is why when you start working with one, it's important to have this onboarding call and an onboarding plan. And another important thing too is to have check-ins with your VA, right? I'm not saying nobody wants another meeting. Nobody wants to be on Zoom or wherever for another, hour. But I do think it's important to have at least a biweekly 15-minute meeting. Hey, here are the things that are on the docket for this week. Here are the here's what's on the horizon, and then these are things from last week that didn't get done or something like that. So it's really important to have those check-ins. And when you do that, you are documenting why they aren't a good fit, right? So as things happen, then you can say, hey, Alicia, we've had our check-ins, we have our task management system, I've put all of our stuff in there, they have deadlines, and I'm noticing that you're not getting to them, or they're not complete, or this, that, or the other. How can i how can i better support you? Do you not have the tools or resources that you need? And have that conversation. And then next time it's like, this just really isn't working. Now, I can't speak to like when you're contractually obligated or whatever that looks like on your end, but I think that and if you didn't attend Allie's session earlier today, she gave a rundown of like contracts and liability, and she's a small business attorney here in Denver. But I really encourage you to read the contract if you're accepting their contract or vice versa. But just have that in there so that you can terminate the contract if they're not providing the service that you're paying for.
And give me one moment. I actually just got the response to the more detail. Some certain tasks weren't in an area, they were not able to acquire the skills. Other areas, they were wonderful, but I don't want multiple VAs.
Got it. um yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. I think it kind of just depends on what you're wanting. I mean, if you feel like the areas that they were great in were, outweighed the other areas where they couldn't acquire those skills, are you willing to invest a little bit more and maybe send them to a training? Or, you know, are you willing to sit down and spend, maybe an hour a week training them yourself? I think we can, speaking from a training and development lens, skills can be taught, right? Skills, we can teach somebody how to do things, but if you can't connect with them on the soft skills piece, there's no amount of training or time or resources that you can put into them. So I really think that it's important to think about, you know, do I like this person? Do they know how to listen? Do they know how to communicate? Those types of like soft skills things that you can't teach. But if it's a task, if it's like, you didn't upload my blog correctly again. Like, I'm going to record a video. Let's walk through it next week. Like, those are the things that you can teach. So I guess I would just start there and think about, they're wonderful here. And then these 5 things they aren't. How can I bridge that gap, and how much more are you willing to invest in this person?
And we have a comment. This is also great advice for hiring any subcontractor and also for fielding questions from prospective clients. I appreciate the generally good business advice. You have given so much good advice today. And like every single question you came head on. That is amazing. Let me double check to make sure to see if there's any more questions or comments. Again, folks, keep coming with your questions and comments. We have one more comment I'm about to post here.
Yay. You're welcome. It's awesome. Thank you. You're welcome. Um, yeah, I mean, I think hiring or outsourcing any piece of your business as a freelancer, as a small business owner, it's tough, right? Like, this is our baby, this is our livelihood. And being able to give any of that over is like a challenge in itself, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty much a control freak. I have the mentality that if it's not done my way, then it's not going to be correct. Well, that's the first thing you have to kick out the door when you're thinking about outsourcing, right? Like, okay, can I live with they didn't pick the right shade of purple, or can I live with they used too many emojis? Like, they're that old stupid saying, there's more than one ways to skin a cat. Like, it's true, right? But I think that setting the tone, giving them your expectation, and it's okay to check their work, right? Like, maybe you're not handing over everything. Maybe they're doing drafts of things first. And this goes back to, I encourage you to be patient, and it's going to take time to execute that onboarding plan, right? Because there's going to be a little bit more time that you have to invest in the beginning to save you time in the long run. So you're going to spend a little bit more time hand holding and making sure that things are done in the way that you want them done. But once you train this person, they can hit the ground running, and you go back frequently and do some QA checks, go in your sent mail and make sure that they're being nice, they're saying hi, and it has punctuation or whatever the case may be. But you gotta let go. Like, if you, in order to grow, you gotta let go. And there is an art to delegating, and I haven't mastered it yet, but I am grateful for the people that have, because that's why I'm a VA. So, be patient, document your processes, and just communicate. Don't get, well, you're going to get frustrated, and that's okay. But, talk about it immediately. Bring up and give feedback. When you see a mistake, give the feedback so that they don't make the mistake again. And if they do make the mistake again, that's a training opportunity. If they do it again, then that's another conversation, and they're probably not a good fit. So, no. Yes, control freaks rule. I don't know if control freaks are also known as Aries, but I'm claiming that piece to fame. It's just a trait that we have, and we can't get over it. I'm sorry.
All right, Alicia, it looks like we have come to the end of our comments and questions. Who knows, because they just kept steadily coming through. So,
Okay.
any last words?
No, I appreciate you guys, and excuse me. I know that you saw my, I have a tribe over here. I have 2 kids at home and 2 in school, so he escaped, but they're all good. They're on lunch. But I appreciate all of you guys taking the time to come to this presentation. I know it was quick, down and dirty, but if you have questions, concerns, comments, if you need help, I'm here. You can email me, DM me, text me. I'm around. And then one thing that I would like to say is, maybe you're not ready for a VA like in its entirety. I am offering like VA today. So basically, what you could do is you could book me for the day for a specific task, and maybe you have one-time projects, or just something that's been like carrying over, carrying over, carrying over. get rid of that. I'm happy to help you. Other than that, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to speak at Freelance Business Week. I think that this is a great conference, and I'm looking forward to next year.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Alicia, for your presentation for virtual assistants. Explain it to us for freelancers because I know I am like, I have always wondered where to begin. And you have
Mhm.
clarified so much of that for me. And I'm sure I'll have more questions, which I'll probably ping you for.
Okay.
But you were awesome. And I absolutely loved your kids. It's a real life. It is such real
Oh my
life. And that was awesome.
God, take up my
Yes.
space.
And it was great because, you kept going. You kept going. And these days, especially in the past year, I've been on several calls where, you know, kids is life. Kids is
It is.
life. And,
It is.
you just have to roll with it. And
It is.
everybody gets it.
It's
So
the work
thank
from
you.
home, you know. Even though I have a home office, it doesn't have a door. There's no receptionist that screens my visitors. They just come in. So I appreciate your grace and your patience. And sorry I had to go on mute and, stir and talk to
You're
my
good.
camera.
You're good. All right. It looks like in about 20 minutes, we're going to have Rob Howard coming on speaking about from maker to manager, building a freelance team. Definitely come back, join us for that. And we are shutting it down for this presentation. We enjoyed you, Alicia. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
being a
Thank
part
you
of
so much.
Freelance Business Week. Again, if you want to have the replay, she offered so much information. If you want the replay and you have not done so already, grab that all access ticket. Grab it right now and get that. So you will have access to all of the replays for this week. All right, we will be seeing y'all in the next less than 20 minutes. Go grab a bite to eat real quick, bathroom break, drink of water, coffee, whatever it is. Do it. Move your body. I will be remiss to say, move your body. And let's get back on in less than 20 minutes. See you later.
Yay. Bye, everybody. Thank you.